And obviously, you kind of guys, what do you feel like from the jump and look like the energy that we feel like?
Just what you said, we brought it from the beginning. And that's important for us. And that's something that we need to stick with, being the team to throw the first punch and, not putting ourselves in those situations that we had the first game where we were, backtracking the whole game.
I want to ask about obviously you and Clay looked like on the sideline, you guys started chatting and then it went from that to something beyond that. Just take me through what happened.
No, just two competitors. I mean, in my post-game interview, I said it. I love Klay Thompson. I have for a really long time, but that doesn't excuse us from being competitive and talking to each other. I've always admired his game, how he plays on both sides of the ball. And obviously the rings speak for themselves. But like I said, I'm gonna bring it every time.
What do you think led to him just going there? Like he got far more upset than you did.
I mean, just having a tough night. I think everything plays into that. It's frustration. I've been there before, and what they have the 4 rings, so they're gonna use that in all the trash talk, rightfully so, respectfully. But that don't have nothing to do with competing.
You kind of touched on this, but you said trash talk with the rings. Like what specifically was said for your guys' back?
They have 4 rings. They repeat it over and over, and they do. And they do.
So that fueling like you even more like, okay, you want to go there?
No, we're like, I said respectfully, I admire his game, but we're 2 different players. And we play a different brand of basketball and different type of basketball. So if anybody's trying to do any type of comparison, there's nothing there.
How do Monty said he was pleased. There was like 7 technicals there in like 5 minutes, but he kind of praised you guys for keeping your cool and during all that chaos when you guys built your league. Were you proud of the team that was able that you guys were kind of the ones that kept your cool tonight?
Yeah, that's important for us. We have an emotional team. We have a competitive team, top to bottom, and history speaking, we've got in those situations and kind of been sporadic and all over the place. So to go together as a team, bring it all in, and just keep hooping, and that's what we did.
Well, do you sense nationally that people are kind of writing the Suns off? I know it's game 4, but does any of that play into wanting to not beat the defending champs here? No, I mean, everybody should want to beat the defending champs. Regardless of what they're saying, we have a tight group in-house that, we lean on each other and, we block out the outside noise. So, obviously people are going to say that with, how we went out last year, but, that's just life. We just keep moving forward and keep getting better. That's all you can do.
Well, there's been a weird energy since starting the first game against the Mavericks, being scheduled the first game after the playoff loss. But since then, it seems like you guys are finding yourselves again and being able to put that behind you. Do you feel that way, or is it just a break with this?
I mean, yeah, we're not going to let one bad night, define our careers. And looking at it, there was only one winner last year and nobody else did. So everybody fell short of the goal except, for Golden State, obviously. So, that's not the time to pack up the bags and retire from losing one game. We're going to keep moving forward and we're going to keep playing.
You talked about throwing the first punch. How did you like the way DeAndre set the tone from the jump?
Yeah, I like that a lot. He got to the free throw line a couple times. He was playing the pocket, and then once he caught it, he was making an aggressive move. They tend to go, a 5-out offense with 5 guards with Draymond at the 5. And, I think that's when we have to just take advantage with our size. And, DeAndre and Jock both did really well with that tonight.
What Monty had said, we talked a few minutes ago, that you were probably, in his mind, the most complete player in the league right now. Does it feel like you're entering a different zone at this point? I know you've been in the zone before, but as far as the way the game's breaking down and scoring from all 3 players of the game.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get better at my craft and perfect my craft. And, as you guys know, there's no perfecting this game. So, it's a ongoing pursuit for life. You know, even when I'm retired and done, I'm still gonna be hooping. My dad still plays every day, 4 times a week. It's in our blood. And that's the beauty of this game. You can't perfect it. Yeah.
Thank you. Obviously, viewpoint in terms of the output, but defensively, I think you guys have 39 points. In the second half.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? What do you think of the defensive?
I mean, anytime you hold, a team like that to 105, that's saying a lot about, our respect for them, the attention to detail. I mean, they got to miss shots, but we just respect them. We went through our session this morning to get ready for them, and it was about as focused as any session we've ever had. Guys, understand that if you don't play at a certain level, you're going to get beat pretty badly. And, it was a good night for us defensively. I thought emotionally we kept it together when it was starting to get a little squirrely. And, we were able to make enough plays during that time where we could get back to solid, if you will. But yeah, I mean, you feel pretty good about your defense if you can hold them to, anywhere close to 20 points in a quarter, because they're so explosive and they can run off buckets in a minute. I mean, Poole had a session in the first half. He kind of carried them for a while, and he was just making tough shots. It wasn't like we weren't playing good defense. And sometimes you just have to keep your mental stamina in place when they're having those runs.
You said you got a little squirrely there for a while. I think there were 7 technical fouls in 5 minutes. What was that like, coaching through that? And just, like you said, you thought your guys kept their cool.
Well, I mean, I can't, 2 competitive teams, you expect some of it. And so I can't lose my focus during those moments. I'm trying to stay as even keel as I can when those sessions happen in the game. So I can be, calm enough to make a good decision. But we expect it. We talk about it a lot. For whatever reason, when we play some of the top teams in the West, it just happens to go that way. I think both teams want it. I don't think it's personal at all. I think we just respect them. They're champions. And so they're going to get our best because they are the best. And so I think a lot of the emotion is just out of being competitive. We don't take it personally at all. We just understand better that once all of that stuff happens, we got to get back to focusing on being competitive and trying to win the game.
You think this team's a little better at that than maybe 2 years ago?
Us?
Devin, yeah.
Absolutely, all of us. But we've talked about it. We used to say the word poise so much. I mean, the guys hated hearing it, I would imagine, because that's what we talked about. We got to have poise in those moments. We certainly are better at it, and I think we're going to continue to improve. But this is a competitive game. It's a physical game. It's up and down. You're going to have, moments like that in games, and you have to try your best to go from emotional to competitive as best you can.
With stats specifically, I mean, you guys were able to pick off some of those passes on the down screens and whatnot.
Yeah.
Would you say discipline was the key with keeping them a little bit in check?
Some of it. I mean, I don't think anybody understands their offense. You can scout it, but it's just complex. They teach their players how to screen. They know what to look for in screening situations. Sometimes if you're just playing hard, it can overcome some of that. But we do our best to counteract some of the actions that they have, but they're so dynamic. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a team run their offense as hard as they do. We like to think that we play in 0.5 and we look the same, but they just do it differently. And their guards just don't stop moving. And everybody plays off of those guys. So they can be really hard to guard.
How'd you like the way you guys established physicality at the start of the game?
I mean, throughout the game, I thought DA and Jock, if you look at their combined numbers, that was something that we talked about at the end, because that was an area where we feel like we have to grow. When teams switch on to DA and Jock and Dario and Biz. We had to make them pay for that. And at the beginning of the game, if you'd have told me we'd come anywhere close to those types of numbers for those two guys who played, we would have been pretty satisfied with that.
It was a dozen free throws in the first quarter as well. Do you feel like that's just a byproduct of the mentality of being physical?
I think so. I mean, we talk about getting to the free throw line so we can set our defense, and that's a great way to do it. If teams are going to switch on us, we got to make them pay. But it starts with the pass, though. I mean, Chris and Book tonight made really good passes where DA and Jock could score the ball. There were times where they didn't have to bring the ball down, and we had the floor spaced properly so that they couldn't help as quickly as most teams do. But it's a byproduct of a lot of work that MB, Mark Bryant, puts in with the bigs. He's always on those guys about punishing smaller guys in the paint. And I think that's something that we have to continue to grow.
With McMillan's threes, sorry, another one. He was at 0 attempts again today. It just has been a lot lower than we're used to seeing through a few games.
Mhm.
I don't want to make so much of a handful of games, but you have any explanation for why?
No, I think one thing that's happened with us, we played a lot of teams who are switching. And there are times when he's in the screen, and so he's diving. So he's not always at the 3-point line. That may be it. Outside of that, I don't have a great answer for it, but it is surprising that he doesn't have more. But teams are playing us a certain way. Like every team that we've played thus far has gone to a lot of switching. And so that takes out his corner threes. When teams are in a typical defense dropped, and then his guy has to go help, that's where he gets the threes. But we've been playing against teams that switch almost every possession. And so that can take out a number of threes for a guy like Mikal.
We talked about Chris Paul shooting off the ball a little bit more this season. You've been emphasizing taking those shots. I know he's a good shooter, but how helpful is that for a player's psyche when they take them and make them out of quick?
It's got to be a confidence builder, but Chris doesn't need confidence. He's never lacking there. I think he's just really intentional about what he thinks is the right play, which is somebody else taking the shot. And Kevin Young, Book, Jake Gaspard, Denise Romero, like everybody's telling Chris to shoot the ball because he's a good shooter. And whether it's off the dribble or in catch shot environments, we want him to shoot, because a lot of times when you turn down the shot, it throws off your rhythm a bit. And that's where you see guys get a 3 seconds, or they got to get out of the lane, and then it takes away from their offensive rebounding potential. We just like when Chris shoots. We tell all of our guys, let it fly. You work on it, you might as well shoot it. So that's the mentality we have.
There's always been a great scorer.
Yeah.
Games in, but it seems like he's got the whole package going, getting to the line.
Yeah.
3-pointers.
Probably the most complete player in the league right now. I mean, there's no weaknesses in his game, and he's scoring everywhere. He's scoring in the post, he's scoring from 3, scoring off the dribble. He's been attacking the rim, getting to the basket, transition, and really efficient. I think he had 14 free throws tonight. Like I think last year he averaged 7. You know, if he can, 7 to 10 every night like that, that's a huge bonus for us. But he got 14 tonight, but just really efficient and complete. He's just playing at a really high level and intentional about it. I don't think it's forced at all. A lot of his offense is out of our stuff. Every once in a while he's got to go into his bag to get off a shot, but for the most part, it's just been within the scheme of what we're trying to do on offense.
And how much did you feel about Sam Johnson's making adjustments with the starting lineup? Did you feel like he's deferring too much?
No, I don't think so. I think Cam he got 11 shots tonight in 33 minutes. He didn't shoot a great number, but I don't think he's deferring. I think all of our guys have this mindset that they go from, trying to play their game, but they also try to do what we ask them to do. So sometimes that can mess with a guy, but I don't think that's the case. We just talk about good to great, turning down a good shot to get a great shot. Maybe that's what ends up happening with guys, but I don't think he defers to anyone.
Coach, the energy was a little bit weird coming into the season. There was a slow start to happen against the Mavericks, but do you feel like the team is finding itself again in the last few games, or do you think they always had themselves and we're just now seeing?
It's hard to say. But I do feel you on that. The first half of the Dallas game, I just think that there was, I mean, the NBA had us play the team that knocked us out. I mean, there's going to be some, it was just a weird day, you know. It was almost like game 7 happened the day before, if that makes sense. I just thought it was an emotional day and game that day, but it just seems like since the second half of that game and even in Portland, we're kind of finding a rhythm, if you will. It's hard for me to, you know, put a label on it, but I do feel you on that. It was a weird day, game 1, but it seems like we're starting to just turn the page and just play the kind of basketball we're capable of playing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yep.